Thank you for this opportunity to speak. On this, the 75th anniversary of the March of Dimes and also World Polio Day. When I was about 18 months old, I contracted polio. Though it was after Dr. Salk, with funding from the March of Dimes, had created the vaccine, it was in short supply in rural South Dakota town of Scotland where I lived. I ended up in a March of Dimes polio ward at a hospital in Omaha, Nebraska. I spent the next year or so in the hospital, part of which was in an iron lung. And a lot of my stay and treatment was paid for by the March of Dimes. I lived in Scotland, South Dakota, and started school at the Scotland Public School. At that time, there was no special training for teachers, nor any law forcing them to do what was best for the child. The March of Dimes was once again a big help, paying for braces, crutches, and a number of surgeries that were needed along the way, generally during the summer to work around the public school schedule. I did manage to get along, but it proved to be somewhat difficult, and the school district, along with my parents, decided it was probably best for all concerned that I leave public school and attend the now Children's Care Hospital and School in Sioux Falls. Then it was simply called Crippled Children's Hospital and School, or CRIPS to us insiders. I have to admit, I pretty much hated every minute I was at Crippled Children's, but looking back, I know it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I ended up graduating from Crippled Children's in 1973 in a class of 6, 3 with polio, probably about the last polio survivors that graduated. Again, along the way, much of the expenses to be at Crippled Children's, along with braces and surgeries, etc., were paid for by or with help from the March of Dimes. This was back before Medicaid and other government programs were in place to pay for such things. After graduating from Crippled Children's, I made an unsuccessful first attempt at college at the University of South Dakota at Springfield, back before it was a prison. I then tried the real world and realized I couldn't be just as good as the next guy, or they would almost certainly hire that next guy. I had to be better. To be better, I needed a better education. I went back to college determined not only to succeed, but to excel. I ended up earning 2 bachelor's degrees and graduating from South Dakota State University on Saturday and Dakota State University on Sunday, and finally earning a master's degree at SDSU and teaching in electronics engineering technology at South Dakota State University for 27 years, all the time working in the real world of computer support. I am currently semi-retired and still teaching a couple of online classes, as well as concentrating on my computer support business. I honestly don't know where I would be today without the March of Dimes helping along the way. From the day it was found that I had polio, the March of Dimes was there. One last thing I would like to say. I always was very independent, and for the longest time it would bother me when people would help me, say, open a door or something like that. And I was talking about this one time with my cousin Rita, and she put it into perspective for me. She said, "You're looking at it all wrong. It makes people happy to help someone. So in effect, when you let them open the door for you, you are doing them a favor by letting them feel good about themselves." A few years later, Rita contracted leukemia, and one time she said to me, "I hate that people are always having to do stuff for me." I said, "Rita, a very smart person once told me, by letting others do favors for you, you are letting them feel good about themselves." So tonight, do yourselves a favor, do something that lets you feel good about yourself. Thank you.